Good day and welcome to SCO BRICS Insight, where we bring you the latest news, information, and analysis on what's really going on in the world of the BRICS. Well, today I'm really going to talk to you about something that's actually pretty spectacular and something sensational, and I really did not see this coming. According to a new report by the World Bank, Russia's become the fourth largest economy in the world in terms of purchasing power parity. Now, this development actually occurred at the end of 2021. Now, for full details of this whole story, please visit my website, SCOBRICSInsight.com, where I've written a very in-depth article that explains the methodology of the World Bank and how they actually reached this conclusion. However, it was only in 2024 that they identified the basis on the data from the World Bank. But why did it take them 4 years to actually work out Russia's place in the rankings of the global economies? I mean, the World Bank's published its updated data, confirming that Russia in 2021 became the fourth largest economy in the world by purchasing power parity. The top three remained unchanged, with China, the US, and India retaining their positions. But Japan was in fourth place for a long time, with Germany in fifth. Now, since 2015, Russia's been ranked either sixth or seventh in the GDP ranking by purchasing power parity, sometimes lower than that, losing out to France. However, earlier this year, World Economics reported that Russia's PPP GDP surpassed Germany for the first time in 2022. With Russia ranked fifth for the first time. However, this new data from the World Bank turns out to be even more sensational. According to its data, Russia managed to move ahead of Japan back in 2021 and take fourth place in the rankings. I mean, Russia's GDP at PPP in 2021 reached 5.7 trillion. This made Russia allowed to overtake all European countries, including Germany at 5.2 trillion, France at 3.6, as well as Japan with 5.5. The purchasing power parity is a metric created by economists to facilitate accurate comparisons of the cost of identical goods and services across countries. I mean, economists believe that purchasing power parity is actually a more accurate measure of economic performance than dollar-calculated GDP. I mean, to illustrate this, if $90 rubles can purchase more than a dollar can, it indicates that the ruble has a higher purchasing power than the exchange rate to the dollar. In essence, this implies that despite the fact that Russian salaries are lower than in the United States and Europe, they're still sufficient and at a level to afford basic products and services at a level that's comparable to the citizens of the developed countries, or so-called developed countries like the US and America and UK. So how did this discrepancy arise between the GDP data based on purchasing power parity and actual market conditions? Well, the process of calculating PPP indicators are complex and time-consuming. They require the collection and analysis of huge amounts of data on the price of goods and services in different countries. The World Bank regularly updates and recalculates economic data based on new or revised statistical indicators. It's important to note that the World Bank does not conduct these studies on an annual basis. Instead, it conducts the study once every 5 years and extrapolates the data for other years. Now, the important thing here is the introduction of a new reference year for the calculations, which has significantly impacted the results for Russia. The methodology employed by the World Bank and the IMF, which is the International Comparison Programme, compares the level of economic activities in countries at comparable prices in a specified reference year. Now, previously, this reference year was 2017, but it's now 2021. So comparisons between reference years, in this case 22 and 23, are made by extrapolation. Now, at the same time, extrapolated estimates may differ between the World Bank and the IMF, and they also periodically recalculated and updated, says Olga Belenkaya, an analyst at the Finam Group. Now, the recount is being conducted precisely with the emergence of this new reference point, 2021, because the previous one was 2017. In other words, based on the data for 2017, Russia was the fifth largest economy in the world by PPP, and according to data for 2021, it's the fourth largest economy in the world. Now, Another important point that could affect the results is the fact that Russia's just clarified what it feels its GDP growth for 2021 and 2022 were. In 2023, Rostat revised its calculations of Russia's GDP growth from 5.6 to 5.9. It also improved the estimate of the decline in GDP in 2022 from 2.1% to 1.2%. Now, these changes could have had an impact on the World Bank's calculations. Now, what factors contributed to Russia's impressive growth in 2021? That was the first year after the global pandemic. Well, according to the Minister of Economic Development, Maxim Reshetnikov, he attributes this growth to the prompt implementation of anti-crisis measures that supported the businesses, regions, and the citizens during the pandemic. Now, these measures were particularly beneficial to the most affected industries, plus medium and small-sized businesses that helped stabilize the economy and save jobs. According to Reshetnikov, the Russian economy declined by only 2.7% in 2020 compared to 2019. Now, this is lower than the so-called developed countries. And furthermore, in 2021, the economy not only overcame the decline, but also grew by a total of 5.9%. Now, the annualized and combined growth rate was 9%. Germany and Japan, which Russia's overtaken in global GDP rankings, were much more modest, when they had increases of 1.6 and 1.9% respectively. Now, the rapid recovery of many countries around the world in 2021 after the coronavirus pandemic was facilitated by government subsidies to the populations and businesses affected by lockdowns. Now, it's notable in terms of dollars that Russia allocated a significantly smaller amount of money to its population and its businesses than the US, UK, Japan, EU countries. And because they dropped huge amounts of helicopter money onto the population. However, the result of this for the European countries and the USA of these gratuitous payments was not economic growth, but accelerated inflation. Now, another factor that contributed to Russia's growth was its orientation of physical raw materials in its economy. I mean, commodity prices recovered rapidly in 2021 after the pandemic, and the services sector and the housing construction both demonstrated rapid growth, with the former not being affected that much by the pandemic, and the latter was dependent on the growth of mortgage lending. Now, it would appear that in 2022 and 2023 that Russia retained its position in the rankings. I mean, the Russian Minister of the Economy attributes this to the measures it took to support the economy, import substitution, etc. That, despite the pressure of sanctions, actually helped the country get through it. I mean, a lot of these investment projects are now showing great levels of growth and will continue to do so. I mean, that's despite the unprecedented sanctions against Russia, the economy declined by only 1.2% in 2022, and that was after the shock in all sanctions. And I mean, 2023, the Russian economy grew by 3.6%, and from 2021 to 2023, it's increased by a total of 8.4%. Now, it's unlikely in the future that Russia will be able to improve its ranking significantly, given the size of the top three economies. I mean, China's PPP GDP is 28 trillion. It's 5 times that of Russia's 5.7. The US at 26.3 trillion is 4 times higher than Russia. And India's $11 trillion is probably twice the size of Russia. However, when comparing the GDP PP index, Russia's figures are roughly around the same Germany, Japan. So, they're at 5.2, 5.6, and 5.7 trillion. So it's going to be a little dogfight between these three countries in the rankings with the next recalculations coming in. But given the fact that Russia's economy continues to thrive and boom, while Germany's and Japan's, Germany's deindustrializing and Japan's got stagflation. So I think Russia will continue to stay in fourth place. I mean, some people have expressed reservations about PPP GDP, and that's their prerogative. However, purchasing power parity is shown by even the most biased institutions like the World Bank to be a much higher and a much better level of judging a country's economy and its economic well-being. And that's why Russia, with its robust economic growth, elevated hydrocarbons providing the stability of its currency means it's at number 4. Now, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and if you've enjoyed this video, you can make a small donation by clicking on the thanks button, which will help me fund the website SCO BRICS Insight.com and this channel. Thank you again, and I'll see you all again soon.